So today's Institute Elite Training is featuring the one and only Alan Aragon. We're super excited to have you in here, man. He's
Thank you.
prepared, got notes. We're going to dive into some deep next level topics, and uh, the certainty funnel will be continued later on this week. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, we wanted to take a quick little break from the business stuff and talk about the client stuff, getting results, ensuring that we make sure that our clients are seeing change and advancing your knowledge to make an impact. So with that, I want to hand it over to Alan. Take it away, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you so much, everybody. I am, I've put something in the chat. That's the notes for today's talk. And it's basically it's links to some of the research that I'll talk about. And today's going to be all about carb mythology. And I picked the four probably most common carb myths out there. And the goal is to spend, gosh, no longer than half an hour like yammering by myself about this stuff. I didn't succeed last time. I left like 15 minutes for questions, but I'm hoping to talk for about 30 and then let's see if we can get some questions and discussion for the second half of it. So we're going to start off with the first myth. So yeah, I put a PDF in the chat for anybody who hasn't checked that out. And so if you want to follow along, just open that up. And we're starting off with the first myth, which is carbs make you fat. And the first scientific backup reference that comes to mind when I think of the carbs make you fat myth is the ISSN position stand, which I was the lead author of in 2017. And so we are due for an update on this position stand, and that's going to drop in, well, 2027. And it's still valid today. This position stand, even though 8 years have gone by, it is every little bit of it is still valid. So you can take everything to the bank in that paper. And so we know on some level that carbs don't make you fat. I mean, it's kind of it is a myth, but it's something that a lot of our clients and a lot of the general audience still believes. And the confusion around the carbs make you fat myth, one of them is kind of a mechanistic thing. So when people say carbs make you fat, when the general public, the lay people say, okay, carbs make you fat, what they really mean is that carbs are a common component of foods that are easy to overconsume because they're hyper palatable. So that's what they mean to say, but that's a little bit awkward and cantankerous and jargony, and nobody talks like that. So the whole idea that carbs make you fat and that somehow a single macronutrient is fattening is really because they're present in foods that are highly engineered, and we're talking about packaged, ultra processed snack foods and desserts, which indeed all of them happen to have carbs. And so when we issue the directive to, okay, just cut out carbs from the diet and you'll lose body fat and it'll happen quickly. Well, that's actually true. You know, just as an assignment, it's an easy assignment. You can say in one sentence, you don't even have to write a whole diet book about it. You can just tell somebody carbs are bad, avoid them if you want to lose weight. And it will absolutely work. So let's talk about ketogenic diets, why they're so effective, and what are some of the issues there. So when you cut carbs out of the diet, you immediately lose body weight and body fat. And the reason why, the big reason, is because you can take anybody who's on some sort of standard Western diet. You take anybody in the general population, and the standard Western diet has too much of everything. And so when you tell somebody to cut out carbs, you're automatically just by default, they're going to be eating fewer calories by the end of the day and the end of the week, period. That's just how it goes. But then the other hidden thing that happens when you put the average lay person on a ketogenic diet is you say, all you can eat is protein and fat. Just avoid the carbs. Protein and fat, that's it. The magical thing that happens is they end up eating about double the protein that they used to. So now they're finally consuming enough protein to support muscle mass, and their diet is much more satiating now because they used to eat, like, let's say, protein near the RDA. Now they're eating like double or triple the RDA with protein. And this is in addition to their options getting severely narrowed. So they no longer can have their favorite dessert foods and their favorite snack foods that are like 100 to 150 calories per bite. And then there you go. What happens is spontaneous, significant total daily caloric reduction to the tune of like 400 to 900-ish calories a day when you look at what happens in the range of studies when you put people on a ketogenic diet and just give them that simple, really simple assignment, just avoid carbs. Okay, so that's kind of the root of the carbs make you fat thing is number one, most foods that are easy to overconsume contain some sort of refined carbohydrate element. And we can think of cakes, cookies, ice cream, pasta, any number of flour-based foods. And usually these things are mixed in with dietary fat of all types. And then when you mix refined carbohydrate and fat together and you make it either salty or sweet or both, then you have the recipe for hyper palatability. That just basically means extreme yumminess and easy to overeat stuff. So, what is the issue now with picking carbs out completely from the diet? Is two things. Okay. Number one, it's not sustainable for the majority of normal people, for regular people. If you say, all right, the ketogenic diet is the best diet you can be on for weight loss and for improving metabolic health and all that. And some people really do believe this. And if you tell them, everybody, if you just say this is your philosophy, everybody's got to go on a ketogenic diet. Well, here is the problem. Every time in research that we put general population type subjects on a ketogenic diet, they can sustain it for about 6 months, tops. And then at 12 months, they're already almost tripled their carb intake from the original assignment. So there's something about the general public and the ketogenic diet that makes the majority of the general public unable to sustain 50 grams of carbs or less a day for like a permanent basis. So that's the biggest problem. That ketogenic diet, in theory, could be the greatest diet ever for weight loss and improving this and that parameter, but most people just can't sustain it. And then what complicates things is that you'll have a majority, or rather a minority, of the general public who can sustain keto forever and ever, amen. And then they're the ones who preach it the loudest and saying, oh, what's wrong with you? Can't you just keto every day for the next 10 years? I've been doing it. Why can't you do that? Yeah. So when something's not sustainable, nothing matters. Nothing matters. Okay. So the good news is that you can still not get fat, or you can still lose fat, body fat, on a diet that contains carbs and even a significant amount of carbs. And in fact, an interesting little illustration on this note is that the top level natural bodybuilders in competition whose job is to get to, for the men, to get to around 4 to 5% body fat on contest day. And the women, by the way, get to about dangerous levels of body fat, 12 to 14, 15% on contest day. None of the top 5 placing elite natural professional bodybuilders engage a linear ketogenic diet for prep. So the top 5 placers, this is based on research by Andrew Chappell. This was 2018. I don't have this in your notes, but it's a 2018 study by Andrew Chappell, and he found that the men dieted on about double their body weight in carbohydrate grams. So double their body weight in pounds as far as their carb grams goes. That's what they dieted on. So a 150-pound guy would be taking in 300 grams of carbohydrate during prep.